All right, I have played the Freebooter Krew about 3 or 4 times, three times, and I've tried a bunch of things, and I really want this attachment to work. And when I saw people, crapping on it online, I thought, no, it does powerful things. These are very powerful things it does. I don't think it works. Maybe it's just the way I want it to work. I'm not feeling it. I've tried it. I've gone second. I've gone first, and even when I go first, it does not feel like I'm doing powerful enough things to make up for the fact that it's a 50-50 shot that I'm going to go second, and then you got to have contingency plans. But I'll talk about that in a second. I'm really struggling to make this like square in my head. It has several things missing, even though like if you look at it, you know, it is actually like very powerful things. So putting something in the wall, one of the best strats in the game. Advance and charge +1 strength, +1 attack, and a 5-up invul. That is one of the best strats in the game. How many armies just have the advance and charge strat? The problem is you have to do it when you're on your special objective. So to be honest, what happens is if you go first, you put them in, all great. You go second, you put it on your home field, you have gas or you have something that you want to shoot, towed into the home field, and then you can waw it. I tried the Morkanaut that way. I think, ironically, the best way to do it that way might be the Stampa. I'm not saying it's good. I think that might be the best way to do that. But yeah, like so you look at the strats and you look at the enhancements, and they're all fine. The strats are good. The enhancements are actually really good. The ignores cover one is great. I wish I could put it on flash kits, but it goes well on Ludas and it goes well on tank bustas. If you're taking this detachment, you're gonna take that. The mech workshop is really cool, and it's surprising that like whenever there's been in the past of a roll D3, get this specific bonus, it's usually bad. There's always the one you want, two you don't want. Now this one, you have two you want and one you don't want, depending on where you put it. If you're going to put it on the big mech with Gaz, you just don't want the +1 to hit, but you get the +2 move, amazing. You get the +1 strength, putting boys from strength 5 or strength 4 to strength 5 base. They go to strength 6 on the wall, which means versus T11 targets, they wound on 4s. Great. It's great. Now, the +1 to hit on gas doesn't matter because you go from 2+ to 1+, but 1+ doesn't matter. So I suppose if -1 to hit is a big deal, that could be happening, but it's not. It's not a disaster if you get that one. And then if you look at the strats, the WA strat, great. Auto Advance 6 strat, great. You get tank. You get It's what is that one? It's no, the anti-vehicle 4+. Okay, it's fine. If it's versus T12 with it's only on flash kits, which do not have a character, which is part of their problem. But you put on flash kits, and versus a Land Raider now, you're wounding them on 4s. Now that ignores the problem of you're going to be fighting a 2-up armor saving cover almost every time, but it does help. Like repulsor executioners in cover, still taking a bunch of damage on 4s. Really good there. It's really good there. I don't know if you build around flash kits. The blast strat is also hilarious. I don't know if it's great. Like, do you take the detachment for the blast strat? I'm not sure, because like tank busters are probably our best, most reliable shooting unit, and they already have blast. And then the problem with Ludas and flash kits right now is I just don't see what they're good into that you're trying to play against right now. And so let's do the big two boogeyman, which is Victor's Guard, and it's Nightbringer, Catan, and they do not do anything versus those units. Now, tank busters do, kind of, but the Ludas and flash kits, they just don't. And so when I looked at it, when I first started this detachment, I looked at it and I thought, oh, these are very powerful things, but they had to hamstring it a little bit because they tried this with Mordaka, and that did not work for anyone except for the Orc players. And so they're like, okay, well, what if we just do the same idea, sort of just rein it back in, make you jump through a few hoops? Well, I tried. I jumped through the hoops, and the payoff never felt like it was worth it. Now, admittedly, I'm not a shooty Orc person. I like melee Orcs. Now, I will play shooty Orcs. In fact, my 9th edition list was the buggy list. Before the Codex came out with the Psychic Awakening, I was doing 10, 12 buggies, I was running around, and that was my shooting list, but it was kind of a melee list too because they were okay in combat. But I prefer melee lists. I'm just better at it. However, I don't know. I just don't see how it's going to pay off, even when everything goes right. So I did some napkin math for a bunch of things. Now, I know I'm making a huge risk putting math on the internet, but these are just, I went down to hit, and it's the average roll. So if you roll 6 dice, I'm hitting on 5s. That's 2 hits, 1 5, 1 6. That kind of math, real quick and easy. It's not exactly. I'm not doing a 10,000 simulations. I could put it in Unit Crunch, but I just sometimes it feels like they're wrong because I put one in for Ludas and it said it had a 0% chance to kill Victor's Guard, and that's not right. Okay, if you hit every single shot, you can kill Victor's Guard. So I don't know what that math was. Like maybe it's just like a realistic kind of thing. But there should be like a percent chance of killing them. So anyway, here's my 50-50 shots down the lane. And so here's Ludas with everything you could possibly give them. They got rapid fire range. They didn't move, so they got heavy. They've got ignores cover from the enhancement, and they got sustained 1, and then you give them the blast strat. And the Victor's Guard, I thought it was fair to give them AOC because they're going to AOC if you're going to do all of these things. Now, this is ignoring the fact of like why are Marines, specifically Victor's Guard, on your special detachment objective. Well, let's say you went first, you got to pick it, but that's kind of a big if. But anyway, okay, all that shooting, the def guns do about 1.5 Marines. The custom mega blasts kill 1 to 2 Marines, so you're probably looking 3, maybe 4 Marines. I don't know. That's not great for how much investment you're putting in. Because the real problem with Victor's Guard is you got to wrangle the Victor's Guard while you're getting shot by some of the best guns in the game with Super Oath. Okay, so let's look at the other big bugaboo. We got Ludas versus a Catan. You're doing 2 to 4 damage. Now I know -1 damage is rough for them, but this is what the detachment wants you to do. It wants you to take this kind of unit. So I don't know. I don't think. I know the entire game is not just Ultramarines and it's not just Necrons, and versus like Warriors, it's different. Or I don't know, Ludas versus the Gaz Brick. If you're playing against another Orc player, hilarious when you shoot 20 guys. That is quite bad for the other player if you're doing that. I'm not doing the math. It's a lot. Like Flash Gits. So blast, heavy, sustained 1, lethal hits. Because you're going to pop your thing if you're going to get them out of the transport. And this is versus Victor's Guards with AOC or cover because you cannot give them the ignores cover thing, and they're probably going to have cover. You kill about 1.5. 1.5. This is a squad that used to be the premier Orc shooting Marine killers. They used to kill all kinds of Marine bodies. Heck, I used to, Index, I was killing Custodes style models with these things. Now that had rerolls to hit, and you can only do that one enhancement or one detachment now. But these things are good at killing Marine bodies. Versus the Catan, you do like 3 damage. I don't think 3 damage is enough for a 180 point unit to justify this, because the only consistent way Orcs have right now to kill Catan is Gaz with 20 boys, because Gaz with a few boys, 5 or 6, usually kill a thing, and the problem with that is, Gaz has had the 4-up invul problem. But you give, I think I did the math a while ago, I might be wrong, but it's about 12, 13 boys usually kill a Catan. So theoretically, Gaz can kill 2 Catan in one go. Now, is your opponent going to give that to you? Definitely not doing that twice. They might do it once and just be like, oh, I'll live. But they're not doing it twice. And that's also Warhorde math. That is not this math. I don't think you're ever going to get 2 Catan on one objective marker so that you can swap them with Gaz. It's just not a realistic thing. Tank Busters do a little bit better. Sustain 1, blast, ignore cover, and Victor's Guard with AOC is about 2 dead Marines. Okay, sure. Also, I'm going to point out I'm not doing the shock attack gun math because I'm just not. The math on that is really quite abstract when you start getting into D6s everywhere. But it's implied that you're going to have that shoot in there, and it could do something. It could be good. Versus Catan, they do better because, of course, they do +1 to hit, +1 to wound. Do about 5 damage, which, okay, 3 units of tank bustas shooting at Catan will do about 15 damage. Let's think here. 1 unit of tank bust is 140, 280. Okay, can I do 280 plus 140 in my head? 420? Is that right? Hold on, I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna do this right. 140, 140, 140, 0, 12. I was right. 420. 420 points. You're more expensive by, like 100 points? I don't know how much Catan costs. They're a little over 300. I mean, whatever. And then, I don't... So, okay, theoretically, 420 points, and that's not including shock attack guns, by the way, which you're going to have. There, you should kill a Catan with all that shooting. The problem is you put that stuff out, and that's assuming you're out of trucks, because you have to get the +1 to hit, +1 to wound. You're going to die the next turn. Those things will be dead. Maybe they leave 1 or 2 of them. They're going to start trading in and Necron things where they just put on objectives and they just stall the game out as long as possible until they have stuff and you don't. So the other thing that I think the detachment does well is you can make the gas bomb move pretty far, because of the advanced 6, it feels like it's more consistent to go farther with gas. However, assuming you get the +2 move, you are still doing less threat range than Warhorde. And if you don't get the +2 move, it's less threat range by about 3 or 4 inches, which is a lot, because I have found the best way to run gas right now is you put them in that. There's always that one piece of terrain that you can hide in your deployment zone that, with enough speed, it's the Dante trick, but it's with gas. You put him right there, and you just wait, and he can threaten all 3 center objectives, and he's going to come out, and your opponent has to know he's going to do it, and then the question is when and how. So if you can wait till turn 2 or 3, amazing. It is amazing. However, you don't... you threaten the thing, but it's just more threatening under Warhorde. And so... does the math really change that much if you just run the gas brick in Warhorde and then just run tank bustas without sustained 1? I don't see how these things are worth it. I think the most powerful thing this detachment does is you can put gas in the wall, you can put other things in the wall. But honestly, I'd rather run more DACA and just spend the 2 CP and guarantee I can put anything I want in the wall whenever I want. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's like a secret thing I'm just not seeing, but I'm having a hard time justifying running this over Dread Mob or Warhorde or Tact Brigade. And I don't even mean I don't think it's like awful. I don't see the benefit of this over those things, because when I started playing, I really thought it was going to be better. I thought when people didn't like it, I was like, oh, that's usually a good sign, because social media doesn't like something, that means it's good. However, I do think they were exaggerating. I don't think it's the worst. Is it the worst attachment orcs have? No, it's not the worst attachment orcs have. There's no way. What's the worst attachment? Is it the Beast Snagger one? Because that one just compares to Warhorde and is worse? Okay, I'm not doing that right now. Whatever. But... some of the things I do want to point out, if you're going to run this, something that's really fun with it is I love running the Death Dread with 4 custom Mega Blasters. First game, it did like 25 damage to a couple of armigers before it killed itself. Second game, it did absolutely nothing, but like wounding on 5s is rough for you. You really want to wound on, ideally 2s, but 3s or 4s are fine. And it just works pretty well. And then like the Charge Mortals makes it so they can't just you can't just gum it up with like little guys. It can actually do a little bit of damage in melee. I really like that. I think the gas brick is fine, but the gas brick is good everywhere. I don't know. I just think I'm having a hard time justifying taking this over other detachments. But if you've had luck, let me know. If you could put it in the comments. Maybe I could try something different, like I'm just not thinking of. maybe I'm just trying too hard to make it a dread mob list that you just take out a dread mob. And I also just feel like, one, they have nerfed or they have point increased shock attack guns, and they've point increased tank busters, so that they're just like not really, they don't feel great at that points. And I know they shouldn't be one, like, what do they start at, like 110, and now they're 140. I know they shouldn't go back to that, but it feels like we're just paying too much for those. Maybe if those were more efficient, then you could take these. It also just feels like Ludas and Flash Gits just don't want to be in this meta. They don't deal with Ultramarines. They don't deal with Catan. And if you're going to take those, I'd rather have them in Tac Brigade, because then you can give them the Met Captain, and rerolls to hit is everything that unit wants. And I'm not taking Tac Brigade right now, because once again, I feel like when you're running Tac Brigade, you need to have that unit run the table, and I just don't think it does in the current, the way game's played right now. But yeah, let me know if maybe I'm way off. Maybe there's something I just don't know about. I'm sure I'm going to post this, and then like this weekend, some guy's going to win a GT and then post how it's the best orc detachment. I just don't see it. I think it's too restrictive for the powerful things, and then I think the other stuff is just not enough to make up for not having, the raw hitting power of Warhorde, or the bonuses of Tac Brigade giving tank busters +1 to hit versus everything that's not just vehicles. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off for this one, but it was great talking to you guys, and hope I catch you guys on the next one.